planner, and I am here today to interview LLL Event Rentals. If you don't mind, please introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about LLL Event Rentals on how you started and how long you've been in the business for.
Sure. So my name's Neil Merchandani. Um, we are with LLL Event Rentals, which is a specialty rental company. We specialize in furniture, dance floors, and drapery. We do a lot more than that, but those are our three main specialties. I started, back when I was like 15 years old. I started
Wow.
DJing parties, and that's how I got started in the event industry. So I was a DJ back in the day, and I would DJ weddings and smaller other social functions. And over time, that evolved into a rental company. We were DJing, 200-person weddings, 300-person weddings, and eventually transformed that into rental of sound, then rental of lighting, and then moved into furniture. Furniture is where I found my calling, and so we started doing furniture probably about, I don't know, maybe 12 years ago. And for some reason, I fell in love with that, and we just kept that running for as long as we are today. So here we are today, and we've grown that into an event rental company.
That's really interesting. You
Yeah,
say that's where you found your calling.
yeah.
What explain that a little bit to anyone who's new in the business and they're like struggling trying to figure out what their thing is.
Yeah.
How would you elaborate on your calling and how did you find it? How did you know
So
that was it?
I think for me, it was maybe different for it's different for everybody. For me, it was looking for something that was beyond what I was doing at that time. So when you're DJing a party, or you're an event planner, you're one person. You get booked. I would get booked out to do a wedding, and that was the one event I would be doing. And so from that early stage on, when I was like 15, 16 years old, when I started doing that, I thought, well, I've got to grow this into multiple DJs, or I have to do something related to this that's beyond myself. So then, it got the wheels turning in my head to turn it into something in the rental space, because that's something that doesn't involve me personally being at, each event that we're going to. But when furniture came about, I'm not really sure why I liked it. I think there was something about it. There was just something about it when I saw it. I was like, you know what? I really like this aspect of it. Maybe it's because it wasn't technology related. I was a little bit turned off by things that were technology related. For example, when we were renting out lighting, it was all about what was in at that time. We would invest in a lighting piece that might cost $2,000, rent that piece out for $100 or $200, and before you knew it, another item would come out that would replace that, and that's what everybody wanted. In the
That makes
furniture space,
sense.
it's not so much about that. It's more about styles. It's more about what's in at that time. But
Yeah.
if you maintain it right, the the furniture can last for years, and so I
Right.
kind of like that from a return perspective.
So with furniture,
Yeah.
what is the biggest upkeep? Like how do you maintain the quality in the furniture because it's being used so many times?
Yeah, so that's kind of a loaded question. There's a lot that goes into maintaining furniture, and there's just different types of furniture. There's leather furniture, there's velvet furniture, there's furniture that's not even furniture that you'd sit on, like tables, coffee tables that are wood. There's coffee tables that are steel, that are aluminum. All these different surfaces, and they all require different maintenance. The key is that if we have a crew, if we have enough people and we have trained people to be able to maintain items, whether that be repairing, whether that be cleaning, etc., that's what really maintains the furniture over a long period of time. So,
Okay.
furniture, if you think about furniture in an event, you see it sitting there, but in reality, it's being transported constantly. And furniture by nature is not meant to be transported. So just by default, it gets damaged very quickly. Whenever you can have the best trained people out there, but furniture is going to get damaged. Things are going to get damaged in transport. You have things being loaded with straps, with blankets onto box trucks. It's going to happen. But luckily now we have crews that are working 40, 50 hours a week just on maintaining furniture, and that's their main focus. So it gets a little bit easier over time, but it's definitely something that needs to be done.
Okay.
Yeah.
So Let's reach out to maybe like, let's talk to those that are looking to start their own business
Hmm.
in any type of, whether it's event rentals or any other business. Funding. Let's talk funding, if that's okay
Mm,
with you.
sure.
Um, how would you say, or what would you say would be the most challenging part, or what? How did you overcome that hurdle of figuring out like everyone has money blocks, right? So it's kind of like, okay, I want to do this, but
Hmm.
I know it's going to require this much money and I have this much money. How do you put the plus in the middle so that
Yeah.
you can get the equal?
I think, I can't speak for anybody else but myself, so I can only say what I
Correct.
did.
For you.
Yeah, what I did was I I did it small. I didn't think we'd grow to where we are right now, and I don't know what tomorrow is gonna bring, but I could tell you that in the beginning and, for the first years of doing this, we did things small. We didn't have I mean, when I had a credit card with $5,000 available on it, I would go and max that out, and we'd buy pieces of furniture that I thought might work. And when that got rented out once or twice, put that money right back into the business and try to save as much as possible, book something, and then redo that process again and again. And it's just a rinse and repeat process. And I can tell you that when volume is low, it's very, very challenging. It's super, super challenging, especially if you're trying to hire people or have overheads like a building. Um, all of that is very, very challenging. So I went slowly. I took some time. I did take on some debt, and just kept it running and just tried to live below my means for as long as humanly possible. And it was super challenging. And I mean, I was probably broke 5 times before we actually made something happen. And there were times in between where I said, I don't even think this is worth it because you're doing like $1 million in revenue. I'm like, wow, it's $1 million. Is that enough? And there would be no money left because
Yeah.
it would all go back in. Then we hit bigger numbers, and it would still be like, wow, when is this going to work? And it's one of those things that eventually stick with it. Sometimes it
Yeah,
works.
yeah, I think that's something that is very known in our entrepreneurial world, is that we want to give up so many times,
Yeah,
and we just keep telling ourselves, okay, we worked this hard. I'm
yeah,
not going to give up right now because what the heck?
yeah.
Do you see yourself in the future either growing or selling your business depending on what you produce?
Growing is always on my mind. Growing the business is always on my mind. That's what I try to work on all day long. Selling the business is something I try not to let cloud my mind. We've had many offers to have that happen, especially prior to COVID, but post COVID, we've had a little bit of interest from private equity firms and things like that. But it's not, it's not something that's on my mind to sell. It's certainly something that's on my mind to grow. Growing is, I feel like if we're not growing, we're just staying stagnant, and we'll probably fall behind. So
Would
we
you
have to
say,
keep
would
running.
you think that if you were to sell your business, just as just me like randomly
Yeah.
thinking, if you sell your business, you can redo the business again with more equity, like more funding.
Yeah,
Wouldn't
I mean,
that
that's
be
an
something
interesting
that,
thought. Interesting thought, but there's one big piece missing to that because you're thinking about it from a financial perspective. I look at it from a more mental perspective. Um, if I look back at some of the risks I took, like I said, I went broke like 5 times, probably more. I don't know if I would have the willpower to do that again. That is a
mm,
painful, painful thing. To
mm,
look back at some of the risks I took, um, as time goes on, most of the time, at least the people I've spoken to, and myself included, as time goes on and you grow, you have a family, you have, different things you've experienced in life, the tolerance for risk tends to go down a little bit. And I don't know if today I would restart, even if I had a huge influx of capital. I probably wouldn't restart. I might go buy an existing business, but I wouldn't necessarily go and start from scratch. Um,
yeah,
I like seeing what we've built now. I'm not so thrilled with looking back at some of the I kind of cringe when I think of some of the things that we had to do to get here. Not that it was shady, but that it was really risky. There was a lot
yeah,
of risk involved. I mean, there were times that I was like, "Wow, how are we going to pay these 3 people we have on payroll?
mm,
How are we gonna do it?" And I would have to figure it out like 24 hours
Yeah.
beforehand, or how to pay rent, or how to take on the next event. We book something for an event and we don't even have the inventory for it. We have to go rent it. We have to go buy it. We have to figure it out. I'm not sure if I would want to look back and do that again. But
Yeah.
when you have nothing, it's easier to take those risks.
It pushes you. You have
It
the
pushes
option.
you,
You have
yeah.
no option. You're at
Yeah.
option 0.
Yeah,
So it's like
that's true.
put the
Very true.
gas and
Very
go.
true. Yeah,
Okay,
100%.
awesome. So now, let me ask about for clients, right?
Mhm,
When someone is trying to purchase or rent um, furniture from you guys, what is the biggest advice that you want to give the clients that they don't know? So, like, for example, in the event planning space, some of them will ask, well, why am I paying you so much money?
mhm,
Well, you're paying for peace of mind and you're paying for you to be able to have a successful wedding so that you don't have to stress or worry about other people.
mhm,
So, how much is your peace of mind? How much is it worth to you?
mhm.
So, and that for me, a lot of people don't understand that. And so for renting furniture, what would you say would be something that they need to know when it comes to renting furniture or
Well,
inquiring on renting furniture?
I think it's important to know how many people you want to be seated. I think it's important to know what color schemes you're working with. So we could just, I mean, that helps us narrow down so much. We
Okay.
have obviously over time we come up with our own data points. So if somebody says that they're going to seat 100 people, they want to seat 100 people at furniture, we can automatically do that math out and say there's an average of, let's say, $125 per head to seat at furniture. So
Okay.
if we throw that out there, we can at least help people fall within certain numbers. We can help people understand where they're going to be budget wise, and understand how much furniture they're going to need to seat that amount of people. So it always helps to know how many people they're trying to seat.
Okay. So let's do a quick scenario.
Yep.
Um, if I have about 200 guests
Hmm.
and I would love to have a little lounge area
Hmm.
for maybe a cigar lounge for guys. Um, I would say maybe out of the 200 people, maybe there's like 80 that are men and the rest
Okay.
are women.
Okay.
Not 80 of them fully smoke cigars.
Sure.
So, how would you categorize or how many people I would need to have seated in that area?
Good question. So what we always say is whenever you give a guest count. So let's not take the 200. Let's say the 80, because you said 80 of them are men, right? Who
Yeah.
are potentially cigar smokers who are going to maybe hang out in that area. We take 20% and say you want to seat at least 20% of those people.
Okay.
So 80 people, you want to seat 20% of them. That's 16 people. Is that right? So I'm going to seat 16 of those people at the furniture at any given time. Each sofa will seat 3 people. A lounge grouping might seat 5 people or so. So we know that we want to do at least 3 to 4 groupings of furniture. And you tell me it was for a cigar lounge, which means that you probably want to do something darker, like a brown, or something a little bit between brown and black, something like that. So you just help narrow down everything, and then we can tell you, okay, your 16 people are probably going to cost you roughly $125 per head. So you know, um, do that math out: $125 per head times the 16 people.
Okay, that's good to know
Yep.
because a lot of people will ask how much does it cost, right?
Sure.
And so knowing that if it's 116, right, per person,
Hmm.
then that gives me the ability to know how much rent furniture I would like to
Sure.
rent.
Yep.
Yeah,
Exactly.
that's
Exactly.
good.
It'll help with budgeting purposes, etc.
Okay,
Yeah.
awesome. And so with that being said, is there any advice that you would give either one for the vendors and for entrepreneurs looking to be in the business, and then advice for clients that are looking to rent furniture? What would be an advice for both categories of
Okay.
clients of people?
So you're asking advice for a vendor
Vendors and
who would want to get into the event.
entrepreneurs who
Okay.
want to get into the business. What
Who
would
wanna
be
get in
your
the well, if
advice?
they wanna get into the event rental business, I would say
Hmm.
start small, understand what market you're trying to go after. So, if you know you wanna be the king or queen of chairs,
Hmm.
just lock your mind into that and go do chairs, and figure out how you can maximize that. If you wanna get into furniture, go do furniture. Um, You know, I'm a believer that it's very difficult to do this at scale when you're offering so much. If your offerings are huge, it's one of the reasons we didn't get into the tent business. It's very easy for us right now to get into the tent business, but we're going to spread ourselves very, very thin. And there are people who are just extreme experts at that, who know that very well. I'd rather let them do that and then let us do what we do. So I'm just a believer in that, in just sticking with what we know. So I would say focus on what it is you want to do and what product you want to rent out, and then go hardcore and invest in good quality product to actually offer to that client. You want
Okay.
to be dance floors, go get the best dance floor quality you can get, and then jump into the dance floor business. That's the way I would do it today if I was going to redo it.
Okay. Awesome.
Okay.
And
You
then
know.
so for clients that are looking to rent furniture or reach out to different furniture rental companies,
Mhm.
what would be the advice that you would have them give them?
I would say the best thing to do is to hire somebody such as yourself. Hire a planner, hire an agency, hire somebody who's done this numerous times. DMCs, planners, a lot of them know how to rent furniture. They know what to look for. They know materials to look for. They know designs to look for, and it's going to eliminate a lot of issues along the way. So I would say
Yeah,
hire a professional to assist with that, and then have that professional contact us.
that sounds like a plan.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, with that being said, I want to go ahead and end this call and I want to thank you so much for your
Sure.
time. Um, and I'd also would like to invite anyone out there that's watching the recording of this. If you are a vendor, if you are an entrepreneur and you would like for me to interview you or get your business out there, your brand, please let me know. Send me a DM on Instagram, which is perfectmoments.epc. And if you want to reach LLL Events Rentals, where can they find you?
You can find us on our website, LLLrentals with an S.com. They can find us on Instagram, and they can email us info@LLLrentals.com.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much. I appreciate your time and
Thank
I
you.
look forward to connecting with you again.
You got
And
it.
I wish you a beautiful day.
Thank you. Same to you.
Bye.
Bye bye.